Our next interview is with Philippe Gouchard, a founder, creative director and manager of D2 Design and Development. He's a best-selling author, keynote speaker, a TED.com speaker and an investor. Now today, we're going to be talking about how to design your way to wealth. Philippe, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very well. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
No, that's good. I'm really interested because, here we talk about all things wealth. Mm-hmm. We talk about health, we talk about mindset and we like to explore all these different areas, and interestingly, your area covers two of those. Not necessarily health, but maybe you've covered health as well. So I'm really excited to find out from your view why product design is the most underestimated wealth building tool. And so I'd like to get into that for entrepreneurs, because obviously you deal with entrepreneurs, yes?
Yes, I work with entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so I'm interested to find out how all this fits into the wealth, and I'm sure our listeners are, because they love understanding all things wealth.
Yes. So I think on a very high level, there are entrepreneurs that want to build a product. They have a product idea.
Yep.
Like the next chair, for example, something like this. And then there's the entrepreneur that has the next product idea, but most in terms of new business opportunity.
Yep.
And if you do the design with that focus in mind, then the idea is to build a new venture, different valuation for the company, and an asset. And that's where the wealth comes in. So you build a foundation so that you can maybe bootstrap your company, or you can have the margin that you really want, and you design a product according to the business, the outcome of the business that you want to have, which is a venture that had a good valuation and that is an asset.
Is that how most people do it?
Unfortunately, no.
I thought I had to ask, because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm considered an entrepreneur because I've got multiple businesses, but generally I have this sort of entrepreneurial spurt, as Michael Gerber talks about it in the E-Myth, and I go, I'd like to do this, and then what do you do?
So very often I meet the entrepreneur at the idea stage, which is very, very early, and the idea is to have a conversation with them to see what they want to have in the future. And very often the conversation is, at the beginning, is all about the product. Like they just want to have this idea out there and everything, and be exciting. Exactly. There's this emotional content that is very, very high, very, very close to them. And the idea is, okay, well, let's keep that, let's have that. At the same time, let's see what we can build in the next 3, 5, 10 years. And how we're going to build that is what we're going to decide tomorrow morning for that product.
Okay. So looking at that, obviously people creating these products, and everybody thinks their baby's the most beautiful baby on the planet.
Yes.
And they think it's going to be ultimately successful. So therefore, that's why I was excited about talking with you, because it's also about mindset as well as the product, and also the business model. And how do you actually handle an entrepreneur that's got a product that sucks?
Usually I'm very upfront, and it's not. So there are different angles again around that. The first one is I would not engage with an entrepreneur if I know in my guts that it's not a good fit or it's not going to work. And I can be wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I cannot, in good faith, say, okay, I'm going to work on your product, and knowing deep within that that's not going to fly. So that's one thing. The other thing is it's really having this honest conversation with the entrepreneur and say, okay, I can see the idea, I can see the vision, and I'd like to check a few things with you. How can we check your assumptions to make sure that we will not go astray? And then there are a couple of ways to go around that. It could be a bit of an ego battle sometimes. When the ego and when the emotion are too strong, some entrepreneurs just refuse any type of feedback, and that's sometimes a bit challenging. And the other way is to be very, very pragmatic. So in our studio, we have what we call a pilot, which is a short session of work. So that if you have an idea, we kind of give shape to it, and then we confront that with the market. And that's where you can have, your baby is ugly type of feedback. But in 33 years, I never had that feedback per se. Like I never had a product where the whole audience or the market would say, there's no way.
There's no way.
Usually it's like, we lack that, this feature we don't need. But how about the other one that we don't have and we see that could be useful? So usually it's more like a slight correction than a full reinvention of the idea.
Now, obviously, there's hidden cost in launching, without fitting to the market. Like if somebody goes, oh, I don't want to make this new thing, and they throw it out there. So, obviously, a lot of people don't think about that before they launch a product or service or whatever that is. So what is that sort of hidden cost?
In my experience over the last 30 plus years, I think I've met with a lot of entrepreneurs and especially serial entrepreneurs. The lowest cost of launching a product that nobody wants was $250,000.
Wow.
So that's the investment that the entrepreneur made of a product that didn't go anywhere. On the high end, we're around $3 to $4 million. And it's a write-off, like it's a complete loss. And there could be different explanations around that. Ego, sometimes the ego of the entrepreneur gets really in the way. The refusal also sometimes to get market fit. You just don't want to hear that your baby is ugly or you should do something different. And if you combine those two, it could be a combination of those two, and then they don't really want to engage with the feedback and they want to postpone that. And in some ways, it's very human. I really understand because I'm also an entrepreneur, an inventor, and there's something really exciting in building something. So if you stay in that excitement phase all the time, you can really go astray. And then
I have that problem because I get excited and I just keep talking. I go, we can do this, but somebody needs to, lasso me and tie me down and go, no, let's just stick to the plan.
Yeah. I don't mind bouncing of ideas, and I don't mind the enthusiasm. I think that's really necessary, especially in hardware. It's not necessarily an easy journey in comparison to other, like digital or retail or other areas. Hardware can be quite difficult. The investments are quite significant sometimes. But yeah, there's always a way to approach that and find an angle so that we can stir that towards de-risking the venture and a more safer way to develop.
So you've talked about some of the failures, and I can put my hand up to be in that bracket as well, because I've had stuff that has failed, and it's cost 7 figures. So I know how that hurts when you spend a lot of time and a lot of effort to try and bring something that just doesn't actually work. So have you got a success story? I know you've had success stories that are bringing more than 7 figures.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example of some of your success stories?
There's an example that I presented not too long ago in a keynote, which is a paintbrush holder.
A paintbrush holder?
Yeah, so we always think of innovation like something really big.
Sexy or something.
And like a team of engineers and everything. And actually, sometimes the very small product can really do very well. Yeah. So the idea of the paintbrush holder, we had a bit of a carte blanche given by the entrepreneur to find product in the DIY industry. So things, Bunnings, retail, and in the paint section. You know. And so we had a look at the audience, what the market was doing, and long story short, we saw a gap, like something that could be addressed, and we could find a product that could hold the brush or the paint roll inside the pot so that it doesn't drip all the time and make a mess when you do DIY or professional paintings. And that paintbrush holder, it looks like a lobster. So you imagine a lobster grabbing on the paint pot and holding with its antenna, holding the brush so that the brush can drip inside. That's an 8-figure business.
Wow.
Yeah. So it very, very well. And so I like this story because there's an initial investment, but the entrepreneur made his money and more than that, in the first 12 months.
Wow.
And after that, it's just,
So it could be a great investment. I know like how long did that take to come from sort of the idea to market?
Idea to market, less than 12 months. The design phase was probably around 6 to 7 months to iterate and everything.
That's very good, isn't it?
It's not too bad. And then there's the industrial phase, like the first mold is probably, 10, 12 weeks. Yep. First round and everything, and then they did very, very well from day one. So, yeah.
It's interesting because, given what I do, generally I get approached a lot of times for wholesale funding, for me to invest in products in early stages, and whether not listed type of companies that you can invest in. And I had a gentleman in here like 8 weeks ago who's in more the, I was going to say not the wellness, but more sort of hair products, skincare type with technology, not necessarily creams, but the technology behind it all. And he was saying things like, patents cost like $500,000 and takes him 4 and 5 years to get some of these sorts of things. Yes. So that's when 12 months, I was like, wow, that seems really quick to me.
Yeah, that was a quick one. There was no patent that I remember involved with this one. There was some design registration because the shape was very, very unique and needed protection. And then that product never had any real competitors. Like you could think that someone will do something similar with a different animal or something. No one did anything. So it's been on the market for a long time and it's still doing very well. So yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. And I like it when people get stuck in and they got this idea and then they bring it to market.
Yes.
And it could be just somebody at home doing something and they've created a product.
Yes.
Do you get a lot of those sorts of people?
We do. We do. So we tend to work mainly with serial entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
The idea with serial entrepreneurs is that, like you, they made mistakes and they understand why we have a methodology that does the product design, what we call market fit after that, and business models. When you're a first-time entrepreneur, there's a tendency of thinking that the product is going to work regardless.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do it much because it's so good. Exactly. It's so good and you're so passionate about it that everyone should be passionate about it and buy it. The reality of the market is that that's not the case all the time. Every now and then it is a case, but most of the time it's not the case. So you need to adapt your product to what the market wants, and you need to also be very precise of which segment of the market you're going to address. And that influences the design of the product. So you need to have both, and then you need to make sure that the figures, the numbers add up. Because some entrepreneurs go quite freely about that and then discover that it doesn't work.
It's no use having the best mousetrap if you can't catch any, if there's no mice come to catch, because how do you sell it? But I mean, it sounds like what you're talking about is aligning design, market strategy, business model, but doing it earlier rather than later, rather than trying to get the product to market. Because at the end of the day, it's about creating value. Because I don't know, I'll take a step back. Why do people, or what are they thinking about when they're actually creating a product idea? Are they thinking about how much money I can make, or are they thinking about solving a problem or something? Where's their thinking?
It really depends on the entrepreneurs. I work again with different type of entrepreneurs. The lobster person, for example, who did very well, that person was a finance and salesperson. So when we did a presentation, he was not looking at the product, he was looking at the business spreadsheet that we prepared. And he said, okay, the investment is that much, the profit margin could be this, I'm going to go with this one. And then he had a look at what it looked like. So that's one type of mindset. Most entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs I work with, I would say that they are really emotional about their idea. It's like, oh my God, I found this thing, it's juicy and I love it. And they talk with passion about it and everything. So they fall more in the category of the passionate person and the passionate entrepreneur, which is really good because you need passion, And the idea is to just help them and then structure that with a bit of marketing and business modeling so that they don't go astray. The whole idea of what I really do is to de-risk a venture. That's really what happens.
That's an important point, isn't it? Yeah, and so that's obviously looking at the strategic planning behind it all, and obviously making sure the design. That I'm assuming that would include, if it's a physical product, it's like what materials, sourcing materials, sustainability, production, supply chains, all sorts of different areas behind all of that.
One big area is also which manufacturing technology you're going to use. So you don't design a product that does 1,000 units a year versus 10,000 or 1 million. It's very often different technologies of manufacturing. So the market fit also is about to tell you, well, where do you stand in terms of volumes, and that influence the design and the manufacturing technologies. So that's one example. There's all that involved also.
Oh, look, to me, it's like putting a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together, really, from what I'm hearing. It's like little pieces that got to go in the right spots, not necessarily the volume of what I'm talking about. It's, we've got to pull all these things together. But I know over the years, and you probably have had a lot of these people, I know a lot of people come to me and they go, I got this great idea, blah, 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 blah. We should do that. And immediately I go, we should do that. And it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? the idea to me is irrelevant. It's about somebody has to drive the idea.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of people with a lot of great ideas, but they're not willing to put the time and effort and money behind it.
Yeah.
They're looking at me to give the money, the time and the effort behind it. But I'm sure you get a lot of those too.
Every week. No, I'm not going to lie. Every week I'm
Yeah.
approached with some kind of inventor or entrepreneur or first-time entrepreneur, or they have an idea. So, or they say, "Oh, you should do that." That's the. And the answer is like, it's lovely. They really think deeply that they have $1 million idea. But as you said, the idea for me doesn't have much value. I mean, there are $1 million idea out there. That's definitely the truth.
Yeah.
But you need to know. You have $1 million idea if you know how to execute on it.
Yes.
If you have no idea about execution, your idea is worth nothing. And sometimes you have to learn execution. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. But if you have a $1 million idea and you have the guts to pursue it, you can have $1 million business or more than that. But you have to confront yourself with execution. And even making just a simple prototype, that would teach you so much. Because you think your idea works here, and you make a prototype, and it turns out it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, yeah.
So, you confront your experience, and then you improve, and, so that's an important step.
So let me ask you what your ideal client is then. Because obviously, there'd be people watching us today going, I've got an idea for this new whatever it is, whether it's a piece of software, an app, or a physical type of product. So what's your ideal client, and how would you like them to approach you?
Okay. My ideal client is a serial entrepreneur, so someone that's been successful in a different realm than physical product or hardware, it's called.
Yep.
Someone's been successful maybe in digital or SaaS or retail or different space.
Yeah.
And then they have this idea of a physical product, and they realize that what they learn, let's say in digital, doesn't apply in physical. You can have an MVP and just push it, like you can have a half-baked Tesla car out there, and just try that to see if the market is. No, you need to build a decent car and the safety and all the stuff. Like you cannot do that halfway. It has to be done properly.
Yes.
And you have to make choices, which is completely fine, but you have to do it properly. So that's the heartbeat, so to speak, with hardware. Like you need to confront that with, a proper development. But if you're a serial entrepreneur, you understand that when we do the design, the marketing, and the business modeling at the very start, it really prevents you to put that $500,000 or $1 million in the bin after 12 months because you just follow your passion. And it's great to do that. It's great if you have plenty of millions of dollars to put in the bin. But even then, it still hurts to waste that money. They are
I know, I've been there.
Yeah, exactly. me too. I had failures when I was in my 20s and everything.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. So the idea is to really look at the idea and then try to build the right foundation for what the business can be.
Do you find some people, I'll use the word over-engineer or make it perfect, and they keep wanting to make it perfect before they release it? And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been in meetings with teams and boards, and I go, guys, I've got to make money out of this. So when are we going to release it? So but we need to do this, and this first. And I go, but I can make money out of it now. So then you can do that. But do you ever see that with some of these entrepreneurs?
It does happen. It does happen, I would say, quite often.
Yeah.
There are a number of reasons for that. One is it could be regulation and everything, so you have to do things a certain way. It could be also the choices you make in terms of product.
Yeah.
So you want to have the car, the self-driving, whatever GPS, the entertainment. You want to have everything crammed into the first version. It's like, well, that's asking a bit too much.
Well,
maybe. How about we just do a smaller car with a simple thing? So when we do the strategies with the entrepreneur, we also can build a timeline of which product are we going to release when, and then the iterations and everything. And that could have a very good strategic outcome because you also spread your IP, you also innovate with momentum, and that also is more difficult for competition sometimes to really catch up with you.
Yep.
Because when they catch up with you here, you're already working on the second.
You're already second one,
So that could be a very strategic, good move.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we've always talked about. It's like, well, what's the barrier to entry for somebody else to be our competition if we launch a new product? So it's a whole lot of things. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there been watching us have a chat and they're a bit excited about it. So if you do want to be a serial entrepreneur or just an entrepreneur and launch a product, I'm sure Philippe can help you out anyway. But thanks, Philippe, for
Thank you
on our show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.